DuckTales Season 2, Episode 16. The Duck Knight Returns.
Dun, dun. Oh, hey, there's a notification. That's live. Nice.
Sweet.
But anyway. So, that's an interesting way of bringing in Negaduck.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that they actually gave him a viable backstory. I mean, they did two different backstories in the original, both of which were kind of eh. I mean, they had the alternate universe one just so that they could do an alternate universe where the bad guys were the good guys.
Yeah.
And then they had one where they were Drake and Negaduck were twins that were separated at birth, but they were aliens and blah blah blah. But that's obviously just a Superman parody.
But yeah, and it makes so much sense that Scrooge has a film studio, but the only thing he uses it for is for making safety videos.
Yeah.
It's like that is Scrooge in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
You own a movie company? Of course he does.
It's like, why didn't you tell me? You spoiled all my childhood dreams. This is why I didn't tell you. Fair enough.
If it was before this thing, they would have just been going in and saying, "Here's some safety videos. Here we are talking about how to lift with your how and why to lift with your legs." It's like, okay, well, that's a good safety video. It's not something that they're going to find particularly exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
apparently he hasn't been to the cinema since 1938.
Was it 38 or 39? Anyway, no difference. Not much difference, but
yeah. It's that one difference. There's a movie that came out in 38 and there was one in 39 and you need to know which one you saw. No, I don't even know what movies came out then, so.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of you, actually.
Who?
I think, Dex, Mr. I don't go to the movie theater.
Yep, I've been since, I think, 2011 with Captain America, the original one.
Yeah. You're Scrooge McDuck now.
No, I think we've found that I'm Huey.
Yeah, he's Huey.
Which means, which means I'm the 7th Doctor, according to your drawings.
No, you're the 11th Doctor.
Hmm.
Dr. Huey is the 11th. The 7th Doctor is Louis, because the 7th Doctor was the devious Canadian. And then the Dewey was the 4th Doctor, because, oh my gosh, he would devour those jelly babies like insane.
Okay.
And then be like, have a jelly baby!
Well, then apparently I'm the 11th, so. Anyway, yes, moving on. That's one. It's gonna be also one heck of an editing job. Like he record. Oh yeah, I forgot that didn't work, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like him filming the last one, and he pulls the thing out, and it's got the dance moves on it. Wouldn't that overwrite that?
Yeah, unless of course the video was cut out, like during the at some point the video was corrupted during the fight scene because all that equipment was knocked all around, and therefore it didn't finish recording, and it only recorded up to that point, and then it was recording over Dewey's dance moves.
Yeah, if it recorded over Dewey's dance moves, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it's the other way around. Usually, you have something important that somebody else records over.
Yeah,
still doesn't quite make sense with flash drive.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, with VHS that makes absolute sense, but to record over something, even then it doesn't make sense. It would just record over whatever Dewey had.
Yeah.
If it was on tape, but yeah, that didn't quite make sense. But
Unless Dewey had filled up the flash drive so much that it didn't have any space left.
yeah,
Because as happened with my videos, like I'm recording stuff like a panel or something at a con, and it's like you're out of memory. You're like, "Ah."
yeah.
Of course, at that point, it usually deletes the entire video. You're in the middle of recording. It doesn't just cut it off there.
Yeah.
And he needs a twirlier mustache.
Yeah,
That is true.
yeah. I mean, Megavolt does have a very untwirlable mustache. I love the fact that he was just boinging it. He was just going boingy, boingy. And it was just bouncing back into place. It's like, who has a mustache? It's like, okay, question answered.
Which it's interesting in that also on a larger meta scale, like the sort of gritty um superhero film, like for the most part, like if you're making fun of like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight and it's all gritty, it's like, yeah, that was true, but like Marvel changed the game on that quite a bit because they're no longer quite as gritty.
True. But I
Uh,
think this is supposed to be Batman, you know,
yeah, it's a little out of date, but yeah, Batman Begins and the Nolan series, which were good, but they were also gritty. Though then again, there was Batman versus Superman, but let's not mention its name
No.
here.
yeah.
What it made me think of,
Your-
which is funny
your
because
my mom was named Martha. We gotta be friends.
what I thought was funny because I'm pretty sure this episode came out way before the movie, is it kind of reminded me of the new Joker movie.
I haven't seen it.
No, so
Unsurprisingly, I haven't seen it.
Stop.
Stop the presses. I haven't seen that movie.
No, what I find really what I find really funny about it is everybody's like freaking out. There's gonna be like mass shootings and stuff, and because yada yada yada, just like the other Batman movie. It's like it all went through just fine, and then there was a machete fight at the Frozen movie. Yes. In other news, back to the show.
Yeah, but
wait, there was a machete fight in the Frozen movie.
Yes, two people started attacking each other with machetes.
Oh, so two in the movie itself or at the theater they were
At
sword
the
fighting?
theater.
Okay then.
Yes.
they had different favorite characters. No, even worse, they had
Probably.
different ships.
No, I just think everybody got upset when they started.
One of them an Elsa Anna shipper because I don't blame for wanting to chop off their heads.
No, I'm pretty sure they got upset because they played a brief clip of Let It Go.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
I really think they just need to let that entire thing go.
Anywho.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting way of setting up if they end up reviving Darkwing. They now have a backstory for Launchpad and Darkwing set up.
Yeah.
And if
totally do.
Yeah. And because they have Della now, they can slowly start to phase him out in season 3 to give him a chance to go to Darkwing if they're tying it all into the same universe.
Yeah, which, yeah, I guess they've been away from the house a lot, so not seeing Della is not particularly weird, but
Yeah.
um, but I guess anytime she's not there, she could just be she's out on an adventure or she's running an errand for Scrooge. Like,
Yeah, but I mean she could take Launchpad's place so he can go to join
yeah,
Drake.
as their pilot.
Yeah.
But
And I mean
they'll miss the character that is Launchpad in that he's
a great character.
he's a very interesting character in that he's
It's
just
awesome. I mean, I love how he's just so open and innocent yet really experienced in very weird things.
Yeah.
he,
He knows a lot of stuff about this one subject.
Yeah.
Darkwing is one of those things. Yeah, his intelligence kind of goes flat, 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 spike, flat, 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 spike, flat, 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 spike.
He is very unique.
He's very capable in very specific things. You know, takeoffs and flying the plane, fine. The landing needs a little work.
When he's trying to crash. Hate to crash your party. Damn it, I'm trying to crash now.
I mean, he's getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, people have just stopped expecting anything different from him.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's Launchpad. That's what we're gonna get. But yeah, having Della there would be so. Yeah, if she stays around and everything, yeah, it's a decent way of getting like explaining. Oh, Launchpad's here as well as over there. And it could be a bit like Gizmo Duck with Fenton. It's like Darkwing actually still works for, works for Scrooge in a way as a superhero.
Oh my gosh, Scrooge is going to create his own Justice League.
Oh,
I'm
God.
thinking Avengers. He's Tony Stark.
Yeah, but
But then Fenton is kind of he's kind of the money half of Tony Stark, and Fenton is the other half, though.
Yeah.
Neither of them are really Tony Starky in personality.
But the thing is, in the original Darkwing Duck series, they did have Justice Ducks, which was a 2-parter where they had a bunch of the superhero-y type characters from different episodes joined together and to help stop a conglomeration of all the Darkwing villains.
now I've just got.
So all the Justice Ducks now belong to Scrooge.
Now I've got a funny idea. It's a funny moment that got in my head was, okay, so you have Gizmo Duck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have Gizmo Duck, you have Darkwing. You get Storkules in on it.
Yeah.
By having Donald there, and you give him something akin to the Hulk powers, and you have them fight for an episode. Storkules keeps annoying Donald, and Donald gets mad and turns into Duck Hulk.
He is basically the Hulk without the mass shift.
Yeah.
I mean, you get him, when he's not angry, he's all dorky and constantly getting injured and complete klutz, and then you get him angry, and he is like this savage little Tasmanian devil or Wolverine or something. He's just like, blah, 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 blah.
This totally needs to be drawn.
But
I
yeah,
already have an entire list of things I gotta draw.
I didn't
Put
say
it
you. I just said it just needs to be drawn in general.
Okay.
fortunately,
Because
I do not have the skills of an artist.
Because I have a big list. I still have Blomgold as the master, the Ainley master. I still have Mrs. Beakley as Missy. I still have Mark Beeks as the Sims master.
Wait. Why
Sims
isn't
master
Della
was the one
Gold Missy?
Huh?
Why isn't Della Gold Missy?
Huh? You mean Goldie?
Yes, Goldie.
Because Goldie is River Song.
Yeah, she is basically River.
I guess it's just that
Like
I literally barely had to change anything from the original picture to make her River.
I guess it's just that Miss Beakley doesn't really feel like a Missy.
She looks like a Missy. She already has the hair. She already has the outfit. I would only have to alter a few things on her to
Ah,
look like Missy.
I see.
say something nice, dearie.
So just convenience.
Also, I mean, she could be, you know, she's all like nice, and then she could kick your ass at a moment's notice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
And then I am totally, I need to find a good screen grab of Drake Mallard and Launchpad to make Darkwing and Launchpad as the second Doctor and Jamie. Because they totally are.
Wait, does that mean putting Launchpad in a kilt?
Yes, it does. You know it. And I could totally picture Launchpad in the kilt saying, "This is shorter than the last skirt I wore." Because he's just so random. It probably would be something he'd have done.
He does tend to wander into things.
Yeah.
He just so go with the flow that he just like, oh yeah, I'd float all the way over there.
Yeah.
Great story, but you know, a bit hairy.
Yeah.
You know.
And Owlsley, the one who's babysitting Glomgold, would be Kate Stewart.
Just sort of shaking her head at the whole situation.
Yeah. Like
But
I do love the fact that they if you watch the flashbacks in this episode where Drake is talking about his childhood, it actually coincides with the childhood Drake Mallard had in the original Darkwing Duck.
Mm.
In fact, the bully looked the same.
Well, this is one of those franchises. You know, we've had different franchises here. Like they've been doing a lot of franchise revivals. Some work really well. Some not so much. Like Star Trek, not so much. You know, DuckTales, very well, because you can see where they're different. Like from what I understand, like it's a cavalcade of cameos in Star Trek Picard, but they don't care about the soul of the franchise. They have a ton of cameos, but they don't have the soul of the franchise. Whereas DuckTales kept the spirit of the franchise and also kept the, the little, built on it and added little cameos and
Yeah, and it wasn't just a cameo. It was they incorporated that into this huge tapestry. They're creating an entire universe and doing it so well that it gels together in a way that hasn't happened since the Russell T Davies era of Doctor Who,
yeah.
where we had Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood, and Doctor Who all coinciding in this nice little universe.
Yeah, and yeah, it's this care about lore, this care about, okay, what's this thing look like as a whole. I mean, we need to be careful about how we do things. Like there's love in there, like modern Who, the start of New Who was great, but 13 is really, Chibnall's run has really stolen the soul out of it, and it's just become this lecture series.
Yeah.
And Star Trek is, from what I understand, kind of the same thing, just like not necessarily lectures as much as just like they just don't care. Like, oh, there's this character that you liked. Here's this character that you liked. We don't really care about the soul of it, and this doesn't make any sense from the point of view of actual lore. But have fun. But yeah, from what I understand, I'm not even watching it. But
Yeah, I didn't even realize the series started yet.
yeah, I think they're on episode like 4 came out recently, like the last few days. I think because somebody already had a review up that I was like passing by as I was scrolling this morning. But yeah, DuckTales A+. They've
Yeah.
and Ponies did it as well. They took it, and they even started with less. They had less to work with,
Yeah.
and they turned it into something amazing. Like they started with something less and made it amazing. Um,
It
like,
all originated as from what's her name? Laura Faust.
yeah, Lauren
As
Faust, yeah.
Lauren Faust just playing with her dolls in her room and deciding and creating the universe in her head, and she put that on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that all evolved from. And they just built on that.
Yeah, the
And
whole. Go ahead.
so this, they actually had more to work from because they had the original universes. Whereas, Gen 4, they didn't really base it. They based some of the names off of it or whatever, but the entire story is an art and everything is different.
Yeah, there's references, and you'll be like, oh, Grogar, that's a reference, but they're always vague about earlier times. Like they'll talk about well, this, but then they keep it vague enough that it's like, well, did that happen in this timeline or is that a different timeline? But yeah, it was mostly they took something that was less and made it into something. DuckTales took something that was good to begin with, good,
And
wholesome
made it
fun, and then they did even more with it. Like because
they
they even took the triplets who had basically essentially the same almost the same personality as in the original. They were almost indistinguishable. And they
they
each
didn't
gave them each a different personality.
they were voiced by the same person who
Yeah,
didn't really change her fluctuation much between them. They were literally interchangeable except for the color.
yeah,
Whereas this one, they each have their own style, they have their own personality, they have their own likes and dislikes and attitudes and everything. And they are each unique, which, first of all, they are not they're not identical triplets, they are fraternal triplets, so that makes more sense. but also because of the fact that they are even identical twins or identical triplets have different personalities.
Yeah. Even yeah, I was gonna say even if they were identical, especially if they were identical, they would try and find ways to make themselves
Unique.
stand out and unique because you know just a
mean,
different color that they liked was all it was. No, they're going to try and take the same hair but cut it differently, or they wear their clothes slightly different, or they do something. They'd have different likes, they'd have different interests. They would try and sort of like magnets, like same-sided magnets, like all south-ended magnets are trying to break apart so that they can actually they still they care about each other and still be brothers and happy, but they also have very different personalities because they're trying to sort of not be the same person,
and I'm
even
pretty,
though
Exactly.
genetically they're the same person.
I'm pretty sure
But
they
I
are
mean,
identical. They just have different styles.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure they are identical. They just have like different hairstyles and clothing styles.
No,
But
they are fraternal because identical means of the same egg. There were 3 separate eggs, therefore they're fraternal.
Well, it could have
No,
could have.
I looked it up. Identical hatchlings do exist, but they come from the same egg.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, but at
And
any
usually
rate,
it's only
we have all the. But yeah, it's just done better. They've just done a better job of reviving a franchise. Like there's more people. The people
the
working
original.
on this series care.
Yeah.
They're
And you could
fans.
tell they were Uber fans to begin with. They're like building off of their childhood here.
Yeah.
I mean, so meticulous, even to the point where Launchpad's birthday is the date that the first episode of the original DuckTales aired.
so what you're saying is it's better to
Using the continuity of Darkwing Duck aired when Darkwing Duck did in the 90s. So they actually are working that past into the story. And they're even next season supposed to be bringing in Goslin. They're supposed to be bringing in the Rescue Rangers. They're supposed to be bringing in Goof Troop.
Good grief! They're just gonna bring back the whole lot, aren't they?
They
so what you're saying is it's better to make a cartoon show that has lots of dedication and thought and good writing into it, other than throw colors on the screen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it took me a long time to actually get used to this art style. Like, when I first saw it, I'm like, because I'm not too fond of the art style, although now that I've been drawing it for a while, I've gotten used to it and it's not so bad. But when I first started watching it, I'm like, I'm not a fan of the art, but the writing is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculously written. It is beautifully casted.
And what I really hate,
so,
hate, like anytime you complain like about a bad TV show like Teen Titans Go or the new Lion Cats or whatever Roar series, it's like the always response is, well, it's not made for you, it's made for kids. Well, maybe I would like kids to have a decent show.
right? My nephew loves the new DuckTales. He likes the original DuckTales too. He loves Darkwing Duck. I was watching this episode this morning, and he was like sneaking up behind me, like, I want to watch too. He also really liked this week's episode of Doctor Who. I thought it would be a little too scary for him, but he's like, cool. So he's a weird kid, but
Yeah, I really need to watch the old Darkwing Duck series because I don't remember Negaduck.
you don't remember Negaduck?
Yeah.
He was like the Lex Luthor of the series. He was the smartest of the bad guys who was literally the opposite, the negative version of Darkwing.
Well, see, the thing is, when I watch those shows, because I think they weren't like Disney, but when I watch those shows, they're like on the TV, and then like something happened like the channel, then I couldn't watch them anymore when I was little. So yeah. But they're
Well, when I
listening.
was little, they were on ABC or one of those channels, so I was able to watch it. Because I'm old.
Anyway, do we have anything more to say about this particular episode?
No, not particularly. Plus, we've already been ranting about it almost an hour. All right,
Only
half an
40
hour.
minutes. Yeah. Well, 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes.